I'm David.
Nice to meet you.
Well, thank you for joining us today at the interview.
No problem.
We saw your profile on LinkedIn and your resume. We were very interested in the qualities you have to offer for the coaching position we have. So to start off, just like tell me a little bit about yourself. What you said you're a senior in college, right? At Judson University.
Correct. That's
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your Judson experience in all 4 years, and tell me a little bit of some main points, highlights of your college career that you think can benefit you in our company and in your career in general.
Okay. So out of all my 4 years at Justin, I feel like the main points and main strengths that I learned from it is just working hard and being diligent at work and staying organized. And so when I came to Justin, I was actually an athlete. So I came in and I was created to play basketball. And so I came in there and I played 2 of my 4 years. But when I really started playing, there were some things that happened in my life that kind of challenged me and made me have to stop playing. But then once I stopped playing, I wanted to focus on more on coaching.
Okay.
And so that's where those past 2 years I've done internships at NIU with the basketball team. And I've learned a lot from that. Obviously, the Division I program, so I learned a lot from that. And I've been able to get a lot of strength and a lot of knowledge and be able to already know about what a Division I program does on a daily basis and how to handle things that happen every day on it as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I was reading out your resume, and like you said, I saw that you interned with NIU. So from just hitting kind of that experience in particular, you said it kind of helps you give an idea of how to manage different situations and different stuff like that, which is very important for coaching. Tell me a little bit. So you worked close hand with the head coach of the NIU basketball team?
Correct. With all the coaches.
With all the coaches. So can you tell me some pros and cons that you saw from their coaching staff that you think could benefit you and were like kind of a learning curve for you? So you were like kind of, oh, I saw that they did that and I saw that was not effective. So me as a coach, I would do it this way because I think this was effective. So if you have a few examples or what you really saw.
So some of the pros I had that I saw there's actually, to be honest with you, was very few from that university. But some of the pros were just, they were, you know, the coach is a hard-working coach. Like, he always spends time after games, after practice, watching film and going over film and really paying close to detail of what happened in the game or happened in practice to be able to come out the next game or next practice to be more organized, be able to go over the stuff that they need to go over. So that's what I thought was a great pro right there, just being able to see somebody put in so much work to watching film and understanding it. But then to cons, honestly, there was a lot of cons, just being honest. Just when it comes to practice, they were kind of, a lot of the practice would change every time, so there really wasn't a theme set in the practice. And so it would just be, oh, there's this theme, next practice there's a different theme. And things would change, like they would do this drill, and then next practice would be different drills. And then also his energy, head coach's energy was always frantic. He was always on edge. And he never had any like chill time. He's always yelling, even if it's a shooting drill, whatever drill, it's just always yelling, frantic. And then so I always saw that, and I actually watched some of the girls practice, and the girls usually did better than the men during the seasons. And they were just a lot more chill, and they just were more calm. And so when I compared those two, I was like, okay, there needs to really be a mixture. And also, you need to create that culture, that winning culture, I feel, as well, because with the team, there's always been that losing culture around them, and they never really changed anything. Like I said, there's always been that frantic on edge. So I feel like that you need to build that winning culture, and you need to build your own culture as being a head coach or assistant coach. And a lot of the assistant coaches never really, like, even though he's the head coach, he's the one who hired, and they really stood up to him and said, hey, maybe we should try doing this, maybe we should try doing that. It was always just stick with the flow and let it flow. I feel like that's where it really hurt them sometimes with that.
Yeah, and like,
that's where I would, sorry to interrupt you, but that's where I would do and change as a head coach, like bring my own culture in and make sure that I have that set and that culture set and that winning culture.
I like that, and just like in our company, we focus a lot on balance, like you said. So we do want a coach to yell when he's supposed to yell, but not 24/7 because you know, some players can get brought down because of that, or it could unmotivate some players. So it's good that you saw that balance is something really important to have in a coach. Have you, you were an athlete, right, in college?
Correct.
Have you ever had, or even before college, if you played sports before then, have you ever had an experience where a coach was either like that, or maybe he was like he or she was the complete opposite, so they were more passive and kind of laid back, and everybody does whatever they wanted to. And if you did, like, can you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I deal with a lot of coaches, just like my coach when I played at Justin University. He was a pretty good coach, I would think, and he knew like when to yell and when not to yell. He had chill times and also times where he was more upbeat and more energetic and more on edge. But just throughout high school too, my senior year of high school, I played homeschool ball, so I played one of the #1 team in the nation for homeschool. We were still really good. But the coach there, I felt like he was good at knowing, like I said, when to be on edge and when to not. And our practices were pretty chill. Like, we would just run through the motions, even though we were top team in the country. We still just run through the motions and just, go with the flow. And if there's something that we did wrong, he would usually correct it after. Because I feel like a lot of the things I forgot to mention in NIU when I was there was a lot of times that he would stop the practice so many times in the drill. If they did one wrong thing, it had to always be perfect. And even though in the game, it's not going to be perfect.
Exactly.
And so that's where I felt like also a lot of that time, he would let us play through, and if something went wrong, he wouldn't stop it in the drill or in the scrimmage or whatever it is. He would let it play through, and then after the fact, like, hey, this is what you did wrong. You need to correct it the next time, instead of stopping it every single time. You can't do that in the game.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's like another important factor you just mentioned there, because you kind of you do want to fix the issues here and there when you're practicing, when you're doing maybe certain, scenarios or certain plays, but you also want to keep that reality, meaning you want to keep that natural game flow, because in the game, realistically, as a coach, it's not like you can stop the game, obviously. So that's very important. So I want to know, what are the top 3 things that motivate you and inspire you to be a coach? Like, what's your motto, and what are like 3 values that as a coach you want to literally like live for your whole career, no matter what happens? These are the values that you wake up in the morning and you're like, I want to be this type of person, and I want to bring this in my coaching career.
So pretty much like what drives me is what you're asking.
Yeah.
And are you asking too?
What drives you? What motivates you?
Would I surround this with the team as well too?
Exactly. So how would you bring your personal motivation into your coaching career as a coach, and so that you're seen as a coach who is also a human, but those two connect? You preach you act what you preach.
I would say the first one is just, I've always been a hard worker, so just bringing it every day, bringing 100% every day, because I feel like with a lot of especially young athletes, especially collegiate athletes, even on the highest level of Division I, there's still times when they take off.
Mm-hmm.
And, just giving that 100% every single day. And that's what's going to push you further to become, a professional. And I feel like that's where a lot of these athletes nowadays in today's society, they don't push it. And all the people that push every single day as hard as they can, they're going to reach that highest goal that they want to reach as well. And then my second one would be just find somebody that's going to push you further to be. So like as me as a coach, I want to be the person to push them. But if they're a player, find someone that is going to hold them accountable. Because I always have somebody that's going to hold me accountable. And like one of the things that I wake up every day is because when I was young, my mom passed away. So every single day I always strive to accomplish things for her. And so I have that in my mind that she's kind of the person pushing me to do better every single day and to get the job done every single day. So I would like my players to be able to have somebody, whether that's a family member or another player, that's going to hold them accountable and push them every single day further. And then third, I would just say is just to be, for me, would be to be organized every single day, to wake up and know what I'm going to do during the day, even though days change and some things might pop up that's unexpected, but just to have it set and do the same routine every single day to where you reach that goal you want to reach.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear about your
No
family
worries.
loss, but I'm glad you see it as a motivational thing, and you let it drive you. That's really important. And,
Exactly.
shows a lot about your character also. So you as a coach, let's create kind of a scenario. So you're coaching for a company, and like you read in our job application, we recruit coaches down, and then we send out to Division I colleges. So let's say you're at a D1 school and you're having issues with drugs and alcohol with like 2 players on your team, and they recently got involved with law enforcement because of this. So how would you deal with that, and how would you make sure the environment stays clean and safe, within the team, and so that not the team doesn't see these two individuals who have done this mistake, and that won't trigger them to do it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how would you set them apart, but also help the two involved, help them grow and not punish them? Like, how would you balance that?
So, I mean, first off, I would call a meeting individually with each individual player that it happened with, and I would
Okay.
speak to them on a personal level, and, tell them that, it's not, it's not right what you're doing, because obviously there's rules and regulations we have to follow in UCAA, but still you're a human, so I understand that mistakes are gonna happen, but I'm not gonna let it slide because, I am the head coach and the university is gonna hold me accountable for everything you do.
Exactly.
And so I would talk to them individually, then I would both bring them in and together and tell them what expectations I have for them. Then if this was the first time, and tell them that if it happens again, then it would be a suspension. And I obviously already know the rules; they would be suspended anyway by the NCAA. So I would also have my own suspension as a coach too. But then also after that, I would bring the team together and speak to them as a team, and just be like, I know y'all probably already know that there were some things that happened. I wouldn't, point out and be like, hey, this person did this, just to make them feel out. But I would say, there was things that happened, but I just still want to keep this clean culture here. I want to make sure everybody knows that we're held to a high standard because we're, collegiate athletes and you're the Division I basketball players here at this university. So I want to hold this team to a high standard and make sure this doesn't ever happen again, because if that happens again, then, there will be consequences for anybody who doesn't, no matter if you're the star player of the team.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's really important to keep the balance and not only quote unquote punish the people involved, because unfortunately that's how people learn. And you as a coach, like you said, you have to stand your ground, but it's also to keep that mentality and environment consistent with the team and not let the team feel like, oh, they did it, so that means we can do it kind of thing. That's really good, holding your ground. If you could give me 3 strengths of yours, what would they be and why?
What would it be and why? Let's say, first would be diligence.
Okay.
That was especially throughout college, obviously, getting that degree, you had to be diligent to work every single day, to do your homework, and then also with everything else that I had going on in my life too. I had to be diligent and making sure that I got work done, but then also I got all the other stuff done. I had to get work done as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then second would have to be, like I said earlier, just giving like 100% every single day. That I always push myself. That would be the second. And then third would be my mental strength, probably.
Okay,
I'm a very mentally strong person,
that's good.
and I know I can push through stuff even if it's something hard.
Mm-hmm.
And, or if somebody is, like I said, just having a scenario or something happened or somebody did something wrong, I mentally can keep myself in balance and not lose my head.
That's good, especially for a company right here. The coaches we hire, usually they go through, like a games, you're gonna have people unfortunately yelling bad things at you, and as a coach it's really important to keep your calm and not lose your mind, like you said. So kind of flipping the ball, what are instead 2 weaknesses that you think you could work on that would better you as a person but also as a coach?
2 weaknesses. Probably to be more organized.
Okay.
I've always been trying to work on that as a person, and especially as a coach too, but sometimes that has been my downfall. And that organization skills is sometimes, the more downside of me, but I've always tried to work on it. And then second weakness would have to be, what would it be? Honestly, I'm thinking of the second weakness right now. Maybe come back to that question.
Okay, that's fine. So kind of going back to the application process, what made you attracted to our position, and what drove you to say, oh, I'm interested, I want to apply for this?
So you asked me what attracted me to
Yeah, well,
your
what made you
school,
want?
the university?
Yeah, what made you want to be like, oh, I want that position, I want to apply for it?
What really attracted me was just I feel like the I have watched y'all school before, you know, play basketball and the coaches and everything, and so just the culture that's surrounded and the culture that's been instilled over the years at this school, and I feel like I wanted to be a part of that. And I feel like there was a lot of potential athletes that could grow and be able to learn. And I saw, you know, a lot of potential, not just in basketball, but just in young men as well, to be able to become better people, and I wanted to be a part of that. I want to be able to grow them as athletes and as people. And I just wanted to also instill my own culture and kind of, you know, over the past years, the team has been, you know, kind of up and down, so I want to be able to turn it around, be able to kind of just drive them and become better players.
Gotcha. So, like you said, the application, our company connects different coaches we hire with different universities. So like our position already had a university connected with that, and that's where you make the connection. Oh, I like this school and stuff. What if, let's say, last minute, the university we would send you to would change? How would you feel about that, or how would you react to that?
I would just, honestly, I would just feel, you know, blessed to be able to be in the position to be able to have that opportunity. And even if it were to change, I would still take it, and I would still go at it 100%. And I wouldn't, you know, come at it with any ill mindset or anything like that, because, you know, obviously I would feel blessed to be able to have that opportunity.
Gotcha. If there's a list of 2 things that you would want us to know about you that are a reason why we should hire you, what would they be?
You said should or should?
Should. Like should, yeah.
Oh, should hire me?
Yeah. So like if you're trying to convince us to hire you, how would you, give me like a short 10, 15 second pitch
Okay.
of why we should hire you.
So why you should hire me is because I'm never gonna give up. I'm always gonna give 100%, even through the highs and lows of this season, that I will never give up on the players or the school, and I will see it through to the end, of no matter what the circumstance or the situation that happens.
That's good to know. Yeah, we're big on commitment. Once we start something, once we hire a coach, we want them to commit to what they're doing. So if they have a 1 year or 2 year contract with the university, no matter how bad or good things are, we want them to finish. So that's really good to hear. Back kind of to your internship with NIU, if there were some obstacles that you, in your role, not that you observed the other coach, you specifically encountered, what was one obstacle you encountered, and how did you overcome it? And how do you think that made you grow into a better person and a better coach for the future?
I would say probably one of the biggest obstacles I learned was I faced. Was probably actually in the filming process, and there was this thing called sport. You probably know about it. It's called sport coding.
Okay.
And it's where you have to keep track of the offense, defense,
Mhm.
turnovers on during a game with like pressing different buttons, but you also have to. It's hard to keep track of everything because it's a hard software to learn and stuff. And so it kind of took me a while to be able to learn that, and I had to really go through certain difficulties during the game. And sometimes I wouldn't keep track of it right, and sometimes this would happen or a different thing would happen. I wouldn't keep track of it. And obviously during the game, the coaches want it perfect to be able to happen. And so sometimes it would be frustrating and not knowing it, and like having just to learn enough to fly, and them expecting you to know how to do it.
Mhm.
But I was just able to persevere through it, and then at the end know it really well and understand it really well. And so just pushing through that frustration to be able to like understand something. Yeah, that's just a small thing like software, but that's still something that I had an obstacle and then overcame.
That's good to hear. I had a question in mind, but I kind of slipped out of my mind.
No, you're good, brothers.
So kind of going back to your NIU internship, just one last thing about it. What was, if there was one specific thing, just one, that you learned that you think it was the most beneficial out of everything? It could be like, for example, the software that you learned how to handle, or I don't know, it could be anything. But what is one specific thing you learned, and why do you think it's the most valuable out of everything else?
I would say the highest thing that I feel like that I learned was to always keep your head on straight, because I feel like I was talking earlier, those coaches sometimes just lost their head, and even when things would go south,
Mm-hmm.
they would let the stuff go south even more instead so I feel like you gotta keep that level head through everything, even if stuff is going like down and it's going bad. If you don't keep it, as a head coach, if you don't keep that level head, your players are just gonna go down the hill. And so, because you're the leader of the ship, you know. So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
One last question
Yeah, no problem.
before we head out. One more scenario. So let's say you're coaching for this university. You've lost like the last 8 games, so things are not going very well. Fans are frustrated. Players are frustrated. You're a little frustrated too, obviously, because you're not winning like you want to. And so you have a surprise interview right after your 8th loss. So you just played a game. It was your 8th game and you lost it. So that's 8 losses in a row. And let's say a company, ESPN or whoever it might be, is coming here to interview you, but it was like last minute. You were not prepared for this. So they're interviewing you and they ask you just one general question. Hey coach, we just want a statement for the fans regarding the losses and how you feel about them and what you're gonna do to change this around. So right there on the spot, just how you would answer them, how would you answer that right now to me?
So what I would say is that we're gonna keep pushing through and we're gonna hold a players only meeting and kind of just address the situation, let the players address their situation amongst themselves. And then I'm gonna hold my own meeting with the team and kind of just talk it through. And then we're gonna get it together, and then we're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna get back on the right track. And I know there's some frustration because I know I'm obviously frustrated right now as well. But that we're gonna get it back on track, and then we're not gonna stop moving. We're gonna just keep pushing forward.
Okay, good. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you
Thank
so
you, I
much
appreciate
for
it.
coming in for the interview. And we'll keep you posted and we'll give you a call and an email when we have a decision.
Sounds good.
Thank you.